Welcome back to the United Pubcast for a rare pubcast on a Sunday, Larry. Ever since Manchester United did become a Europa League club all those years ago, unfortunately, a lot of our games were on Sunday in the UK, which meant Monday mornings in Australia, which meant Monday match reviews. But here we are on a rare Saturday night kickoff in Australia, and that means a Sunday night review for the pubcast. And an interesting one, because Chelsea 1-1, you think, okay, that's a very positive result. Then you look at, well, the performance, did it deserve more? You look at the state of, in terms of trying to build confidence off the back of the victory against Tottenham. You look at, okay, was it a penalty? Wasn't it a penalty? The late goal, the dramatic sort of euphoria around the Casemiro equaliser. It almost felt like a win, but then you think about the result. It actually was a little bit disappointing that it was only a draw. So a lot to unpack. But talk me through your weekend, your Sunday, and your thoughts around Man United.
On Man United, Tom, as you know, the result can impact your mood, whether it's going to be a good weekend or a bad weekend. So if you're having a good weekend, if you are happy with the result, make sure you hit a big like on the video, and that helps us a lot because that means my weekend will improve. So I would really appreciate that, as I'm sure Tom would as well. But on the performance itself, Tom, and I'm sure we'll get into the micro levels of the match. All in all, if someone said to me, you get a draw against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, I think you take that before the game. Not discrediting the fact that we struggled to beat Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. We said it, the last time United managed to get the 3 points there was in January 2020. So, I mean, it's been nearly 3 years to tell you that it is a difficult place to go, irrespective of how they're tracking or where they sit in terms of the ladder. So, I mean, all in all, I think United played really well, and that's a really pleasing aspect. Easily could have had the 3 points. But on the balance of play, credit to Potter as well. He changed his shape during the first half. I think a draw was a fair result, particularly coming from behind.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it is interesting in regards to we feel better, can draw up a scenario where we concede a 96th-minute equaliser. I think we're in a different mood. We're having a very different discussion. But when you get that 96th-minute equaliser, it's almost felt like a win, which you saw that in the player reaction. So it will be very interesting. But I'll just say good day to some guys in the pub. Rob, good to see you, mate. Hope all is well. My computer is running a little bit slow. If Larry can take over.
Yeah, I'll happily take over, mate. We've also got, and there goes my computer being crazy. We've also got Adam. How are we, mate? I can speak for myself, Adam. I'm sober, so I'm fairly well. Tom's coming off a buck, so if he seems a little bit slow, I ask you, ladies and gentlemen, to have a little bit of patience with my good friend Tom here.
Well, everything has revamped on my computer, so I'm back alive. Mike, I'll take over. Larry, thank you for that little input. But Mike, good to see you, mate. Hope all is well. But speaking about late nights and early mornings, Josh recognising the shirt, the Irish shirt, Sean O'Malley, a UFC fighter, had a great, his best performance. And still a guy we're still trying to get on the podcast. I remember Mohamed Makayev, he had a huge victory as well on one of the first fights of the night over in Abu Dhabi. Fingers crossed we can get him on the podcast before the World Cup. He has given me assurances, so be a little bit patient with that. But Larry, Manchester United against Chelsea, hour before kickoff, team news comes through. Actually, before Manchester United, just again, if you haven't liked the video, this is a sure reason to like the video. Nottingham Forest 1, Liverpool 0. That started my Saturday night off quite nicely.
Absolutely. Man, Liverpool, honestly, I might look at doing a video on Liverpool. I found the way they're sitting quite interesting. I got to be honest, I actually started to think they were back. They got a big result against Manchester City, giving them their first loss. That obviously, I mean, I didn't think too much of the Rangers result. They obviously got a result against West Ham midweek, but again, back to the wobbles. They're in free fall.
Well, you have to be honest with Klopp. Like, how many players did Nottingham Forest sign?
A squad worth?
Yeah, so teams like Liverpool can't do that, so you do have to feel for Jurgen Klopp.
You say that, but they spent £100 million
that's a meme. That's a meme I stole off Sports Bible, for God's sake. Like, it's a joke. Like, how could Liverpool compete with clubs like Forest who signed so many players? I thought it was a good joke. Let me know if you think it was a good joke in the comments. George, good day, lads. I think it was a fair result in the end. I feel we've moved up a couple of gears, which is promising that we're seeing some progress under Eric Ten Hag. Yeah, look, a draw, you think, it's not quite what we wanted. But in terms of the performance, a dominant display, not often you go away to a big club, not often you go away to Stamford Bridge and be the dominant team. So far, even if we get good results there, it's off the back of the counter-attack. But Larry, starting 11, talk to me in regards to that. Our starting 11, unfortunately, is now going to change with the injury news around Rafael Varane. But an hour before kickoff,
the extent of the Frenchman's injury, Tom. Has
I
that
think
come
that
out?
it hasn't, but it looks at a lot of the people are talking about the reaction of the players and sort of Rafael Varane potentially in tears, knowing that, well, if he's injured now, what does that mean for the World Cup? So if he's thinking
Yeah.
about the World Cup in a couple of weeks' time, well, he's not going to be playing for Manchester United until next year. So look, who knows? Fingers crossed we get a little bit of clarity, but fingers crossed the Frenchman is okay because we're going to need him. But talk me through the starting 11 in regards to Christian Eriksen comes back in. Thoughts?
Right decision. I thought Fred played well midweek. In saying that, Ericsson is absolutely an upgrade. I think there's a time and place for Fred and or McTominay, and I just think Chelsea. It just showed the intentions of Ten Hag. Though he went to play football, he didn't go to counter. He didn't look to out enthuse. Well, sorry, I will recorrect that statement. He didn't think that Chelsea could out enthuse Manchester United. He went to play football. He chose his most technical players, his best players, and you could argue, with the exception of Anthony Martial being fit, this is United's strongest 11. Not too many complaints, to be honest, but I got to say the bench did look pretty weak. And looking at how the game played out, you do have to say, where was the points going to come from, or the point of difference, I should say, should Rashford or Anthony or Sancho not fire? And I have to say, on reflection of the 90 minutes, I thought the front three really struggled.
The good display in regards to going to Chelsea and dominating the game and not playing on the counter attack, like looking the superior team, is that off the back of us being a better team and Casemiro and Eriksen, Bruno Fernandes in terms of that midfield, winning that midfield battle football wise, or is it off the back of maybe Erik Ten Hag's instruction and approach, which maybe tactically got the better of Graham Potter and Chelsea? Like, what was the more deciding factor? Are we better than Chelsea, or did Erik Ten Hag get something right that maybe our untrained eyes saw in the Chelsea team?
I'm going to say it's mainly systemic. It's obviously a blend of both, because the personnel that you have at your disposal will impact how effectively you can put those tactics into practice. But you have to say it's the first time United have looked to, how do I explain this? We're playing football in a tactical way. It's no longer okay. And even I made this point the other day. Under Sir Alex Ferguson, a lot of Sir Alex Ferguson's genius was actually man management, where he knew he had the caliber of player, 4-4-2, more or less. And then it was a case of, if I can get that extra 2% out of every player, I got the better players, we'll win the game. In this case, you're actually got where Ten Hag set up, and we were out manning Chelsea in their midfield, which forced Graham Potter to actually bring on Kovacic early on in the first half. So you have to say, tactically, United, because of the triangles, the way that Shaw and Delo are inverted, means they're probably being able to drop back on a counter fairly quick as well. You have to say, tactically, United are set up a lot stronger, because a lot of these players have been the same players we've seen for many years. In saying that, because we're now seeing the players see the results of the tactical discipline and the setup of Ten Hag, I think you're now seeing high confidence, which means you're going to see higher performance from the United players as well.
Just on that, just one point you bring up, I just want to come back to, but Ryan makes a point here. Good to see you, mate. Huge transformation from last year and how we progressed the ball from back to threatening forward positions. For most parts, Chelsea couldn't come onto us, similar to the Spurs game defending-wise. So in relation to that point and a point you just made there, Larry, in regards to, you talked about all these things in terms of what sort of culminated in a good performance, both the players, Erik Ten Hag, in terms of the system, what maybe how Chelsea's approach all contributed into Man United having a dominant display and how we approach the game away at Chelsea compared to previous seasons. All these things are correct and all those different facets. One thing, Casemiro. He's different. We knew he was good. He's playing for Real Madrid and Brazil. Obviously, a very good player, and obviously maybe a little bit undershadowed in regards to that Real Madrid midfield and having two quality players ahead of him. But we do know the defensive side of the game that he does bring and how that's beneficial to any team, but especially the defensive problems we've had in midfield over the years. But on the ball, I think it's one of those players. I remember Robin Van Persie when Van Persie came to United. I knew he was a good striker. I knew he was a very good striker. When I saw him play, I thought, oh, yeah, he's very good. And then Casemiro, I knew he was a good player. He could get on the ball and he's a little bit more composed than Fred and McTominay. But now I see him on the ball now, and look, he's not Pirlo, he's not Xavi sort of thing, but he's a huge upgrade, and that huge upgrade is proven all the difference, in my opinion, in the way we attack. So yes, maybe the front three weren't at it today, but in regards to the attack in football and the front three and their quality they possess, or Bruno and Eriksen quality in the final third, it stems off the back of what Casemiro is doing, in my opinion.
Oh, he's genuinely world class. If you look at United's 11, let me ask you this. how many players would you put in that world-class bracket? I'd put Rafael Varane being back to his best this season in that world-class bracket, and I'd put Casemiro. Outside of that, when Bruno's on song, I could make an argument, but I'm not ready to say that based on this season so far. There's no other player who is performing to where I could say they are world-class. Casemiro has evolved the way United play off the ball. On the ball, he's brilliant. He got us the leading goal today. Not, but most crucially of all time, this side lacked leaders last season. You could put the armband on Casemiro tomorrow, and no one would have any
I
qualms.
had a feeling with that, and I'm sure everyone's watched the celebrations and all the photos of Casemiro celebrating, Lissandro Martinez with the fan. I'm sure we've all seen those. However, just a hunch. I don't know why. If it was because Rafael Varane was off the pitch and I wasn't really thinking about him, the situation with Ronaldo, Harry Maguire's not even involved. When Casemiro was celebrating, I was thinking, yeah, I could see a captain there. And that's not to say he should be Man United captain sort of thing, or I'm demanding he have the armband. But you do talk about those leaders in terms of even, look, Lissandro Martinez is not a captain in my opinion at the moment for Manchester United. That's not to say he can't develop into one or couldn't be one now. But in terms of, okay, he's a leader. Bruno Fernandes, whatever we think, I don't think Bruno Fernandes is the ideal captain for Manchester United, but there is leadership qualities there. Casemiro is a leader in terms of the way he plays them. Christian Eriksen, in terms of his composure, that people lead by example in certain ways. And I don't want to say overnight we've a team full of leaders, because a couple of weeks ago we're losing 4-0 to Brentford and throwing all the sort of labels at these players in regards to how unprofessional they are. So I don't know what has changed, but suddenly it does look like this team has a bit of a backbone, which we've sort of so often questioned that they didn't have.
Yeah, I can't. If I
It's
say
kind of that has to come down to Erik ten Hag. Erik ten Hag has got something across.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But you got to say, and now in hindsight, every signing that Ten Hag has made, brilliant. What an awesome transfer window we had. I mean, last season we saw Varane, Sancho, Ronaldo, and on paper it promised so much and delivered so little. But you look at it this season, every signing he's made has just been brilliant. And I mean, Malacia hasn't been bad by any stretch of the imagination. I think longer term he'll prove himself to be United's left back. But you got to say, for every other signing, Martinez, Tom, I'm in love with this guy. He's see the passion with the fan, and that fans found the tweet on Twitter, and that's a moment that lives forever. But the passion these guys have, Martinez and Casemiro. You know what? Talking on players who you could put in that world class bracket. If Martinez keeps up the way he's going, I think in 12 months' time, there's every possibility we're talking about him as a world class centre back.
No, definitely. There's no better place to prove yourself than the Premier League. And if he does continue to prove himself, that definitely will be a discussion. But Ryan here agreeing, the passion from Casemiro on after the goal was incredible. Absolute scenes in that away end. Chris, good to see you, mate. Hope all is well. Liverpool, as much as we hate them, have a lot of injuries. Sounds like a bit of a Jurgen Klopp thing, but yeah, you know what I mean, Chris. But before we get into the end of the last 5 minutes of the match, Larry, in regards to that's where all the drama happened, both at both ends of the pitch. Is there anything else in regards to maybe one or two performances or a talking point from the match you do want to discuss before we get to the crux of the match?
Well, let's look at the stats a little bit, Tom. United had more ball than Chelsea, 53% to Chelsea's 47%. And on top of that, we had twice as many shots that Chelsea had, 13 compared to 6. So United are doing the business. I think you're going to reflect back on this game and perhaps even the season, and what we will reflect on is United really need a number 9. I think highly of Martial, but he can't stay fit. And I don't know how many times we're going to go down that song and dance. And Ronaldo, for whatever reason, just isn't the same player this season. So I think if United had an informed number 9 today, I think we win that game comfortably. I think if you can get that player in, I think we can challenge next season. I really do. I don't think we're that far off anymore. I think if you can just get in perhaps another central midfielder. If Eriksen becomes your backup, I think United are in a very strong place. So if you can get that box-to-box midfielder, you get a number 9, I think United can really go places next season. But why wait that long? I think in January, if there's an opportunity to move Ronaldo on, which I think is best for both parties, you've got to get a number 9 in.
Adam here with a shout in regards to Ivan Toney and Vlahovic. Would be crazy for us. I'm not sure the situation in regards to Vlahovic. Didn't he just go to Juventus? I'm sure that would. Well, I'm not sure their situation, but you'd assume that would be a bit of a tricky deal to do. But look, that's a discussion for January, before January. But it'll be interesting what role the World Cup does play in that. And okay, the talking points of the match, though, we'll start with what happened first. The Jorginho penalty. Scott McTominay comes on. Now, this is an interesting one. Look, stupid from Scott McTominay. It's a penalty. However, you know what I'm going to say.
What's that?
Give it a penalty, fine. Give 15 penalties a game. Give 15 penalties a game. It happens on every corner. Azpilicueta did 10 times worse on multiple occasions today.
Look, I take what you're saying.
It's a penalty, but you have to. If you give that, you have to give them all.
In the box, though, I think McTominay gave too much. That does happen it happens at every corner. You're right. Every set piece. But the problem that where McTominay is, after the first exchange, he goes back for more. That's the issue. You can't go back for more.
If the cross goes over, nowhere near Scott McTominay, same action, same foul. Again, this is not me defending; it's a penalty. But if the ball goes way over Scott McTominay and the same action, he tackles the guy to the ground, but he's not involved in getting the clearing header. Is it a penalty? No, the referee's not looking there. Same action, but it's just again, not defending it. It was a stupid mistake by Scott McTominay. Ultimately, or potentially prove extremely costly.
Reminded me of Chris Smalling, Tom. Smalling loved to grab
Smalling was the worst. Or Smalling got away with it. So again, Smalling did 10 years of it.
Smalling was at United.
Well, this didn't even go to VAR. And look, if it went to, it would have probably been awarded a penalty. So again, no complaints from Man United's end, but it's just a bit of you saw when the Casemiro goal in, the referee was gutted. You almost saw his heart sank when his watch buzzed. And he couldn't wait to give that penalty against Scott McTominay. I don't know if he said something to him when he went on, but Scott McTominay has to take responsibility for that one. He can only have himself to blame. He put himself in that position.
Good players make mistakes, Tom. That happens.
The other end of the pitch, Casemiro, talk about saving Manchester United in terms of giving us a defensive midfielder we haven't had for a while. Well, he saved us in the isolated 90 minutes and saved the day. And obviously only an inch or two in it in regards to how it crossed the line. But he's got into a position a couple of times this season, maybe, a couple of shots outside the box, and you think, he's got that goal-scoring threat potentially. But he's also got on the end of a few crosses, or almost got on the end of a few crosses, and he's done this one as well here. And we've touched on his performance and what he brings, but obviously now potentially you look at directly impacting a match. He has done, and in a big way, because who knows what situation we're going to be in May if we need 1 point for top four or Europa League or whatever the situation is. This is a huge result. Not even for Manchester United. You take 2 points away from Chelsea, that's potentially beneficial to United in a few months' time.
Yeah, absolutely. Can I give you some of the statistics from Casemiro in this game? And I think this will be a natural transition into 3-2-1s. 68 touches of the ball, 83% pass accuracy, 10 ball recoveries. 10 ball recoveries, Tom, in a game of football. That's insane. You're impressed when a player makes 3 to 4 in a match. Just to put in that into relative perspective, phenomenal performance. He won 6 out of 8 ground duels, and he also managed 6 out of 8 long balls that he attempted. Oh, my God. And he won 4 tackles. Sorry.
Yeah, look, I think he's a shoo-in for 3-2-1s.
Match-saving goal.
Well, he's a shoo-in for 3-2-1s, and we'll go into 3-2-1s. Now, a few people are talking about defenders in the comments in regards to a bit of that transfer discussion. I'm sure that will maybe pop up in the later bit of the discussion when we're talking about Cristiano Ronaldo in the future, as we always do in every show, for God's sake. But leave those questions and comments for a little bit. But in regards to 3-2-1s, do you want to talk any more about Casemiro, or just give the 3 points and move on?
Oh, Casemiro is a shoo-in for 3 points this game. He was brilliant. I mean, forget the stats. Just don't lie to your eyes, Tom. He's brilliant. 3 points.
In the live chat, do get your thoughts in, because everyone's going to very likely go 3 points for Casemiro, but we will need a bit of help on 2 points and 1 point. So do get your thoughts in the live chat for us to dissect. But Larry, the floor is yours in regards to any other names. Now, this is maybe just me sort of overemphasizing a photo and sort of the lasting reaction in regards to what we saw at the end of the match in regards to Lisandro Martinez, and maybe my love for him in that way. Maybe it clouds my judgment of the 90 minutes before, but I have to throw him all. It's just weirdly, maybe it's an automatic pick throwing him in these points, because I do love the guy.
Yeah, Martinez is a shout. And at the end of the day, when you look at the goal we conceded, once again, no fault of our defenders. So I think there is no issue here. The way we plaudit players for scoring goals, you got to plaudit players when they're not keeping a clean sheet, but when they're not at fault. Last season, we were paper towel when it came to defense. This season, much better. So I think you're right to give a point, 2 points to Martinez. I'd be agreeing with that shout. In terms of 1 point, I think you could go Another good. I'll be going one.
I think Larry's just gone a little bit robotic. If you can hear me, Larry, just kick yourself out of the studio, or it might be on my end. But I believe it is on Larry's end, and just come back into the studio in a sec. But a few people are sort of putting Luke Shaw as 1 point, Diogo Dalot. I think the fullbacks is an interesting point in regards to that. A lot of people have done Casemiro. I'll just bring Adams up here. I like Casemiro. I think he's good. And had his best game last night in a United jersey, but I feel some people are overpraising him for a bit now. I think there is obviously a bit of a potential case of that. I'll just put in there. I'll just kick Larry out. He's finding a new stream. I'll remove him from there. Hopefully he comes back in a new one. On Casemiro, that point you make there, Adam, in regards to overhyping, I think that is a potential scenario where we will do that. Obviously, when emotion is sort of high and he scores that last-minute equaliser, we all fall in love. And we do have to be a bit careful because if we go and draw the next game or lose the next game, we're going to say, oh, why did he come to Manchester United? He's only here for the money. Why did he leave Real Madrid? So we do need to be careful. However, I think in regards to my praise in regards to Casemiro, why I think I'm so pleased with him is the difference. We look going to away to big teams. Now I know, okay, Manchester City was different and he didn't start that match, but away to Chelsea, when have we ever gone then really dominated? Even under Solskjaer, when we had good results away at Stamford Bridge, we knew how we're going to set up, try and get them on the counter, Rashford in behind, Martial in behind, situations like that. But suddenly you drop Casemiro in that midfield and we look the superior team. For so often, for the last decade, it feels like whatever big game, whether home or away, it feels like we go into it thinking we're the underdog. Maybe not even the underdog, but the other team's going to be the better team. Let's see what weapons we have to hurt them with. But you suddenly drop Casemiro in there and we look like the better team. And I think that is a testament to how good and sort of how pivotal he can be. But I'll just go through some more 3-2-1 votes in the live chat because I think Larry's trying to get back in. Fingers crossed he can join me. Emad, good to see you. No better time to watch the pod. Hopefully you are enjoying me. Ashby here, Larry on fire. I think the shout of fullback here, and maybe it generates a bit of a wider discussion around the fullbacks. Casemiro for 3, Dalot for 2, Lisandro Martinez for 1. A few George here, Casemiro for 3. He's gone Luke Shaw for a point as well. Ryan, Luke Shaw for a point as well. And actually, I don't think I brought this one up. Christian Eriksen. I think Christian Eriksen I think we just enjoyed his good football. Maybe that was pivotal in regards to us dominating the game. But it was one of those maybe faded a little bit. So it was interesting around Christian Eriksen. I see Larry flashing. I'll give him a few more minutes. But just one more post or one more comment from Emad here. A player like Casemiro, who has done what he's done in the game, can't be overhyped. We all know what he can do, unlike a player like Anthony, for example, virtually. I know that's a good point. I wouldn't disagree to both Emad or Adam's point there in regards to that, but it is interesting because, yeah, he is at a different scale. And, yeah, I'd probably lean more so. Not that I disagree with Adam, but I'd probably lean a little bit more to Emad. But in regards to not overestimating what Casemiro is bringing, but maybe just the reaction, because the reaction is up here at the moment. Suddenly, if we get a bad result, we're going to start abusing him and telling him to F off back to Brazil. I think in regards to the way fans react, that is a potential scenario we don't want to happen. So Larry is not longer with me, so I'll just kick on. If there is anything in the live chat, sort of get involved in the discussion, help me along for these last couple of minutes. He might be back here. I'll give him one more chance. But we'll go 3 points. Obviously, Casemiro, Martinez for 2. And I just think, well, he's giving one more chance here, Larry. Talk to me. Diogo Dalot, Luke Shaw, give me a point. Or is it someone else? I think would be between one of those.
I'll go Shaw.
The reason I bring those up for points in regards to maybe, and again, disagree with me, maybe there is someone who's more deserving over the 90 minutes. However, it's a collective thing in regards to Luke Shaw having that poor start to the season and sort of being left out and coming back and performing quite well. Diogo Dalot taking his chance and nailing that spot down. Why I'm so happy with those two at the moment is the collective thing in regards to, yes, there was a good 90 minutes, but in terms of what they're doing, like Diogo Dalot, Luke Shaw can rest, Malassi can come in for a week. Christian Eriksen can go out, Fred can come in. Marcus Rashford can go out, Jadon Sancho can come in, Anthony can go out, Anthony Elanga can come in. Diogo Dalot has to play. He plays every single week, and that's obviously it's not May yet. Okay, it's very early in the season, but still demanding on the body. So I think Diogo Dalot physically and mentally is performing quite well. So they're just my thoughts in regards to summing up my feelings towards the remaining point.
Yeah, that's fair, and his delivery has really improved the last couple games. I'd be willing to give it to Dalot. I give him a hard time too, so why not give it to the Portuguese?
Well, we might as well give it to the Portuguese because the other one or the other two aren't getting points, especially the one who wasn't involved. And just one or two more chats before we get into the Cristiano Ronaldo discussion because it's boring, Larry, I know. but it's on the tip of everyone's tongue. It's so engaging in regards to always changing. Gary Neville and Roy Keane pretty much came to blows in the studio, Sky Sports studio, in regards to their feelings. I thought that was an interesting one, but just one or two more points. Actually, a point here you always sort of bring up, Larry. Ryan brings up here what's happening with Jadon Sancho. Back to Shaw every time he had the ball, confidence issues. I think it is a confidence thing. And Larry, you've obviously raised concerns over Jadon Sancho in the past. Yeah. So Larry, I know you personally, okay, maybe one or two questions. In regards to this form, I think it's just that. But I think the way fans are reacting at the moment is if you're out of form, well, there's huge questions. Okay, you got to be sold. Okay, you're not good enough. And when you are in form, you're world class and you're brilliant. If we lose a game, we're going to tell all these players who we're praising today they don't have the mentality to play for Manchester United. They shouldn't put on the shirt again. They're not good enough. That's how far away we are from a title. We put a good display in at Stamford Bridge. Next season, we'll potentially put up a title challenge. I'm just thinking we're so reactionary as fans. I think, in my opinion, with the Jadon Sancho thing, I think he had a very good start to the season. Remember the goal against Liverpool sort of thing? I thought he was very pivotal in the way Erik ten Hag was playing. Suddenly he's a little bit out of form and said, well, no, you could only do it in Germany, can't do it in England. I think it's just, in my opinion, a case of a little bit of poor form.
I don't know. I think the jury is out on him a little bit. And the reason I say that is I'm not going to write him off because I think he's 23 years of age and you don't do what he did in Germany. You don't put up the numbers he did if you don't have something about you. But what I will say, Tom, is every player who I've seen, like young player who's come into a United team, particularly in attacking positions, shows you something. If I think of Rashford in terms of his first season, Martial in his first season, they showed how good that they could be. Everything I've seen out of Jadon Sancho has been glimpses, promises of being brilliant without ever putting it together for 90 minutes. Shows ability to get
compare him to a Rashford though, and maybe criticisms we have over Marcus Rashford and like maybe a Fred and Christian Eriksen or Bruno and Christian Eriksen. Sorry, in terms of Marcus Rashford and Jadon Sancho, okay, yeah, Sancho might have those glimpses, but it's a little bit more consistent. Okay, it's not flashy, it's not on the eye, but the manager's picking him, and the manager might be picking him for the same reason he's picking Christian Eriksen. So it's not flashy on the eye.
Well, what other choices are there to Sancho?
Yeah, there is definitely a part of that. I agree.
That's the thing. I'm not going to write him off, but he's got a massive level to go up to. Regardless of what happens this season, I can't see him being sold, but I could see, for depending on what he does for the rest of this season, I think there's a valid argument to say maybe next season his United career might be at a crossroads. He needs to show something between now and the end of the season because he's just kind of there at the moment, not really doing anything wrong. But the reason he stands out so much right now is because every other player is giving you that 8 out of 10. Sancho seems to be around the 6 out of 10.
No, that's what I mean. If everyone else is performing bad, would we be talking about Jadon Sancho's performances? I don't think that's the case. And that's not to say we shouldn't be talking about them. I just think if it's like this after the World Cup, okay, we can have a serious discussion. But at the moment, in my opinion, might not be in my opinion, it's a little bit of bad form, a little bit of confidence. Put one in the top corner, that confidence is going to change. But it's about time, Larry, for our weekly, not even weekly, our daily Cristiano Ronaldo chat. And we really shouldn't be talking about it. Nothing to do with this result. Well, potentially, if you want to look at our bench, potentially had a big impact on the result. Very likely, that's a very valid argument. But the latest on Ronaldo, I think what sort of stems a lot of this one is the debate Roy Keane and Gary Neville had, and Ronaldo, wish he was in the chat, could ask him a few questions, but Emad says Ronaldo has nudes of Keane 100%. Obviously, Roy Keane went backed into the hill in regards to that Gary Neville debate. Now, what I would say, because if I was to have a discussion with Emad now, we've had this many a time in regards to players taking responsibility. Ronaldo is the only person who impacts other players. If any other player, we have to say, no, that player has to take responsibility, but everyone else has to, Ronaldo's not getting it, or sorry, because of Ronaldo, everyone else isn't as good. Where Roy Keane always make, again, this is not me defending. I think Erik ten Hag was right to suspend him. It's not a defense of Ronaldo. However, Ronaldo makes everyone worse. Well, no, Roy Keane was right in saying no, they had to be better. Don't blame Ronaldo for them not being good. And I think that is where a lot of Roy Keane's, you can't disagree with that, Larry. You can't say someone's first touch isn't good enough because Cristiano Ronaldo is standing there. That person's first touch.
Of course not. But look,
that's the case.
This season, Ronaldo has not been good enough. In the games he's played,
Yeah, but
statistically, he's
don't
been
blame other
good.
players. If another player performs badly, do not blame Ronaldo. That is
Oh, of
stupid.
course not. But
That's what we do as a
neither of
fan
us
base.
have
That's what
done that so far this season.
but that's what the fan base and the media do. And that's what Roy Keane is getting upset for. And this is, again, not me defending Ronaldo. I think he's rightly suspended. The Gary Ten Hag has dealt with the situation perfectly. I'm Team Ten Hag in regards to this. But in
I
regards to
think
Roy
you're
Keane's
making an
defence,
artificial argument, mate, to be honest. I mean,
it's
I've
an
never
argument we've
seen
been having for
anyone
2
say,
years.
well, the players don't play worse. Like someone's first touch being bad is someone. Fred's going to have a bad first touch, whether it's Ronaldo or me up front. But the reality is, the team doesn't perform as well when Ronaldo's on the pitch, and
Yeah,
that
but
does go back to last season as well. He doesn't allow for fluidity, and that's the thing. When you look at Ronaldo, I think Roy Keane's obviously backing his mate here, but ultimately,
oh, yeah, there's
when
a
you
case
have
for that.
Ronaldo firing in the side, Tom, he'll offer you goals, but goals to the detriment of the team. I think United have more goals in the team when Ronaldo doesn't play.
Oh,
Rightly or
it's
wrongly.
valid. But again, and this is not me bashing Marcus Rashford. How many chances? I think Rashford's now gone 9 big chances without scoring. Like, and like
That's
that. No,
Rashford's career, though. He'll never be clinical. He
yeah,
just
okay.
doesn't
So
have the
Rashford provides the better football. And this, again, it sounds like I'm saying throw Ronaldo
But
in the team. It's
Ronaldo
not a
won't get
case of
himself
that.
in those positions, and I think that's fundamentally the problem. The way United are playing at the moment is through the lines, and when you're playing through the lines, Ronaldo is simply not going to get into the positions that Rashford's getting in. Sure, he should be more clinical. I don't think Ronaldo gets there at all to even have the opportunity to be clinical.
I can see the thinking, and I wouldn't disagree sort of completely. However, Ronaldo gets chances. Now, those chances might not come a certain way, but he gets on the end of chances. And I'm just thinking, I think we're a little bit reactionary there in regards to a lot of the Rashford
Well,
chances
you
might be
tell
different
me.
chances.
Look at the Newcastle game. Look at Tottenham and Chelsea.
Larry, I'm not saying we're a better team with Cristiano Ronaldo in regards to the way we play football and we can't create more chances. I'm saying Bruno Fernandes isn't as good because Ronaldo's playing. No, you have to blame Bruno Fernandes for his performances. Ronaldo
Well,
is
no,
the only
no,
player.
I disagree with that. Ronaldo
No,
takes away from Bruno's game because he gets in
don't
his
blame
space.
Ronaldo. Blame Eric Ten Hag for putting him in the team. Don't blame Ronaldo for other people's performances. Blame the system. Blame Eric Ten Hag. Blame the Glazers for bringing him in. Don't blame the person, the individual, for other players and their effectiveness.
Well, I would criticize Ronaldo in that situation because he should know as a striker not to occupy the number 10 space. That's not tactics. That's the player lacking discipline. And that's why he fundamentally
This
finds
discussion
himself
about
on the
Bruno
bench now
Fernandes.
because he doesn't know how to follow instruction. He doesn't fit into Ten Hag's
Why
system.
have we never said then Bruno Fernandes lacks discipline and that's affecting the midfield because he's at number 10 playing at number
Of course,
9?
he lacks discipline. We've said that countless times.
But
But
we don't
this
blame
season,
Scott.
he's
But
improved
we
that
don't blame
discipline.
Scott McTominay having a bad performance because Bruno's discipline.
But fundamentally, but we have criticized Bruno for that. But this season, you have to say that Bruno's improved that aspect of his game.
Oh, no,
Not
no.
perfectly.
It's not a criticism of Bruno Fernandes, but do you know what I mean? Can you see
I
maybe
take your
I'm talking
point,
nonsense?
absolutely. But the problem is Ronaldo won't change.
Yeah.
That's fundamentally the issue here. Bruno, I've seen a change in his game. Fred, I've seen a change. McTominay's improved out of sight. Delo, another player who's really come on this season. All these players have shown improvement in their game so far. Marcus Rashford this season, the guy I saw last season, he wouldn't get into my Sunday league team. You
What
know
if
what
we
I
had
mean?
a
All
performance,
these
a very
players.
good performance the other week against Everton? No one was complaining about Ronaldo's influence there. And again,
Did he
this is
have a
not
good
me.
performance or did he just have one moment where he scored a goal? But his performance wasn't good. He scored the goal
It,
and he took it well, but his
if
performance wasn't there.
Rashford after his performance today scored 1 goal, it's the same thing. But what would be praising that? And again, I hate doing this in regards to maybe sounds like a defense of Ronaldo and me taking Ronaldo's side over Eric Ten Hag. That's far from the case. I want to get it in Eric Ten Hag and how I think he's dealt with this perfectly. But I just think maybe it's my side of maybe prefer Roy Keane over Gary Neville to a little bit, and Roy Keane's copped so much abuse. And I can see why he's copping a lot of stick for this argument he had with Gary Neville, but I can see
He was
where
acting
he's
like an
coming from.
idiot. Sorry, he did. He acted like a spoiled child. He had no balance to his argument at all.
No, we're not talking about. Oh, I thought you were talking about Ronaldo there. No, Roy
No,
Keane.
Roy Keane. Roy Keane's argument today, it was just like he just wanted to argue for the sake of arguing. Everything Neville said was spot on. And Neville didn't criticize Ronaldo, mind you. He just said this season he's not performing. He refused to go on as a sub. You don't refuse to play for Manchester United and then leave the stadium. That's fundamentally the issue. It's his conduct, No one's talking about Ronaldo's performance. Good play. I don't care if Ronaldo had 12 goals
The
so
whole
far
thing
this
is
season.
about the whole thing. Obviously, there are two sides. There's the behaviour and the field, but here the last 5 minutes discussion we've had is in regards to the on-field performance and how that affects. So that is a huge part of the discussion. However, in regards to the behaviour and walking off the field, this is where all my not defensive Ronaldo, but my backing of Ronaldo there sort of push that to the side. I'm fully on board with what Erik ten Hag has done in regards to dropping him from training and the matchday squad against Chelsea. I'm fully on board with that. I think Erik ten Hag has dealt with it fantastic. However, going it back into the Roy Keane discussion, and Roy Keane's point in regards to this is not a dig of Erik ten Hag. Again, this is praising Erik ten Hag. He has used Cristiano Ronaldo as a bargaining chip here and thrown him under. And maybe it's the right decision. I'm not saying it's the wrong decision to do, but in Roy Keane and defending his mate, he has. It's a strong word. I don't mean it in a bad way, but he is publicly humiliating Cristiano Ronaldo. Now, Ronaldo's sort of doing his own thing, which is throwing himself under the bus. Of course, Ronaldo is sort of a lot to play in this as
the
well.
other day, by the way, was embarrassing.
Ronaldo doesn't help himself. I'm not saying Ronaldo's helping himself. I'm saying, and we can praise Erik ten Hag's side of things in regards to this, but there is a fact, and again, I might be liking it. Erik ten Hag is throwing Ronaldo under the bus, and that is where Roy Keane is saying, "Hang on, the manager shouldn't be doing that."
I want to ask you two questions, Tom. One, has Ronaldo tarnished his legacy as a United legend? No. And secondly, does Ten Hag, regardless of bringing a striker in or not, do you think it's all gotten a bit too difficult? Does Ronaldo need to leave in January?
Well, look. The Ronaldo phase has gone now. Yeah, he needs to leave as soon as possible in regards of both him and both the club and moving forward. Now, is the Glazers?
That's what's going to be interesting to me. Like, his stock has fallen so much. He couldn't find a buyer in the summer. I just wonder, like, what's the next step for Ronaldo? Can he find a Champions League side? It'll be really interesting.
The club will take him if Man United will sort of cut ties and not demand a transfer fee. I think Man United will be happy to get rid of him. And any team sort of in the Champions League, could you need a striker who's designed to sort of score goals in the latter stage of the Champions League? I think there will be suitors for Cristiano Ronaldo. Now,
I agree with Ahmad here. I think his legacy it's stained a little bit for this. You can't refuse to play and leave the stadium. Sorry, I just ultimately, of course, he's still a United legend. That will never change. But you can't. He's refused to. You know what? It's not even the leaving the stadium bit for me. He refused to play.
Paul Scholes refused to play.
I think it's different. But
okay, but potentially different. But if we're black and white in regards to these things, like refusing to play. And again, that's not me defend. I think Erik ten Hag was completely right in dropping Cristiano Ronaldo. I think the I don't want to say experiment, but the Ronaldo situation has run its course. But no, he hasn't tainted his legacy. Well, in 5 years' time, when sort of he retires and we look back, we won't be thinking about. It's a shame how it's ending. But no, as I said, bigger legends at Manchester United have done far worse on and off the pitch than Cristiano Ronaldo. And we'll forget about that. I think a player getting in his car early after full time, I think we'll forget about that in a couple of years' time and to remain a Manchester United legend. But that's just my opinion. Maybe I'm incorrect in regards to that. But in regards to Erik ten Hag, as I said, I'm not criticising him for doing this, but there is a fact that he is publicly humiliating Cristiano Ronaldo. I'm just thinking he might need to do that. That is potentially a positive, which will sort of prove beneficial in the long term for both the manager and the squad. But getting rid of those sort of drastic words in regards to publicly humiliating him, he is handling the situation very well compared to how, look at Jose Mourinho on a Paul Pogba situation. That was criminal in terms of the way Jose Mourinho did that and ultimately cost him his job. This is not going to cost Erik ten Hag his job because it's obviously it's what the Glazers need. They need, which is crazy, is obviously here's their biggest
some credit there, Tom, where it's due, because United in the past would have backed the player. I think credit to Richard Arnold here. He's backed the manager. Because obviously anything being done here is that there's an executive level where there obviously needs some level of discussion has to be held. He's backed Ten Hag, and credit to Richard Arnold. Now, obviously, it's the obvious decision to make here, but United have gotten this wrong time and time again in years past. So I will give some credit to the CEO there.
They are backing the manager, but I think it's not so much a back in the manager. And on the essence, if you take inside, yes, they're backing the manager. I think it's more so. And again, it hurts to think like this, but probably the right decision in terms of sort of moving forward. It's about throwing Ronaldo under the bus. It's about pain and villain. Okay, he's the hero, he's the villain. And Man United, in terms of the situation, unfortunately, we find ourselves in, Ronaldo has to be painted the bad guy. And he potentially is in terms of the way his behaviour. Yeah, no, but the club need that to be painted. That is why these stories are coming out. Did Ronaldo leave the ground early? Well, no footage came out. Thousands of people are out there waiting 5 minutes for full time. He would have been seen to be leaving early, but it paints a lot. Laurie obviously comes out with the story a day later. I didn't get the story when it happened, when obviously news would have broken that he did leave early. Got the story the next day. Obviously very close to the club in terms of we need these stories in terms of painting Ronaldo as a bad picture, because it obviously lessens the impact and lessens the sort of load on Erik ten Hag's plate, because the future, the situation is gone with Ronaldo. He's leaving Manchester United, and the club need it to happen as quick as possible.
I think Ronaldo is the bad guy. United have done nothing here. Ronaldo has contributed to his own story ultimately, and it's his own demise. And I think he can take this one or two ways. He can accept he's not playing well, work hard, and force his way back into the side for however long he's here, whether that be January or the end of the season, or he can continue carrying on the way he's carrying on. He will tarnish his legacy if he continues acting in the way he is. And at the very least, if he's not tarnishing his legacy, he's going to sour his relationship with a fan base that has done nothing but adore him for the best part of 15 odd years.
Well, the fan base is an interesting one, because obviously you look at Wayne Rooney's behaviour to the fans and his comments towards the fans and his actions, and obviously he comes back in a couple of goals. Well, scored more than a couple of goals, obviously, Wayne Rooney. But in terms of that is where he won't taint his legacy. Obviously, people will forget. And obviously, with Wayne Rooney actually, a lot of people do maybe hold that against Wayne Rooney. But I think over sort of the majority, I think, sort of eased in regards to their frustrations towards Wayne Rooney. But anything else in regards to Erik ten Hag? Because as I say, my defence of Ronaldo is not get him back in the team. However, Martial, obviously, let's just assume Martial's not going to play. You can't rely. If he comes back for a week and scores a hat-trick, he's going to be injured next week. We have to get rid of the Anthony Martial discussion, unfortunately. Look, I do like him. I know you're a big fan of him. Forget it. He's not an option. He can come in for a couple of weeks. He's not going to be a recipe to get in the top four or win a trophy. Okay, so Martial's out. Marcus Rashford's not scoring goals. Who's your striker? That is the situation where you could potentially be throwing throwing Cristiano Ronaldo into the team.
I think he'll play this week. Ten Hag already kind of dropped his name in his pre-match presser for the Europa League, and I expect Ronaldo to start this week against FC Sheriff, which is kind of ironic since he's kind of been, he's been the one brought to justice, for lack of a better term, Tom. But look, on the Martial argument, if Martial can get himself fit, I think he is clearly our first choice. Ultimately, I agree, and United need to invest in a first choice number 9 and let the two, if anything, I would like to see two players who are capable of fitting in, challenging for that position. And then it's up to whichever takes their opportunities at the moment, which is crazy to think when you think of last season and what the numbers that Ronaldo produced. But if you can get two elite strikers who can push each other, it just means United are obviously going to be being in a better position to challenge on all fronts.
He's back now. The audio was coming through crystal clear, Larry, but you did freeze for a little bit, but you're back. But we heard everything you said. But just a point, which I don't disagree with, but Chrissy, I don't think Ronaldo legacy will change, but we should never brought him back. We'll always go and in tears. I think all of us knew that at the time. You go back to the stream when Ronaldo was signed. Obviously, we joined in the excitement and the celebrations of it. A lot of the serious discussion was, look, it's not going to work. It is going to be a disaster. It will end in tears, or very likely end in tears, unfortunately. And that is where we go back. Yes, Ronaldo can only have himself to blame in this in terms of the way he's behaved, Larry, but he's been put in a position, not him personally, but in regards to the club has been put in a position where this was always going to happen. So yes, Ronaldo needs to take responsibility for his behaviour, but in regards to upstairs and how this club is run, this was inevitable. So it should have been prevented at the source and sort of not happen in the first place, which we all agreed with at the time. While we were happy, we said this is potentially going to happen. Cost Solskjaer his job, for God's sake.
It's a difficult one. How far do you draw the line, though? Is it Solskjaer's fault for bringing Ronaldo in or supporting the signing? Is it Ed Woodward's fault? I mean, who knows?
Well, no one's decision, but just the action of bringing Cristiano Ronaldo in was going to change things.
If you look at the way United finished 2021 season, was there even a need to bring in Ronaldo? I mean, Cavani was doing bits.
That was our discussion. Our discussion was the front three of what Erik ten Hag did so well in the pre-season. That was Solskjaer's potential front three of Sancho, Martial, and Rashford. And obviously, the dynamic of that did change when Ronaldo came in. So again, look, this Ronaldo situation will be
flying at the time. Greenwood was obviously there at the time. Like the situation has evolved far beyond what we started with. So I mean, I don't think you could have foreseen that it would end so badly. The other key factor here is Ten Hag's come in as the manager, who's obviously got a much different philosophy and has no emotional connection to Ronaldo. It's not his former teammate. He's not a former United legend who's currently the manager. All Ten Hag cares about is building his own legacy and getting results. So he has no reason to cater to Ronaldo. So I think fundamentally that is why Ronaldo's obviously falling apart. On top of he had no preseason. He's lacking match fitness. He's 37 years of age. Didn't do himself any favors.
No, definitely. I was having a discussion with a mate, and again, the last point in regards to comparing to other things, but obviously walking off the ground or leaving the ground early, everyone's saying, okay, that sackable offence shouldn't play for Manchester United again, and the one that was used earlier this season was Ronaldo not going on pre-season or boycotting pre-season. He should have been sold on the spot then. I'll go back to the Wayne Rooney, literally boycotted pre-season in Australia and tried to force that move through to Chelsea. Obviously forgotten about. So I think all these now you don't want an accumulation of these isolated incidents, but everything that's sort of happening today, unfortunately, maybe not walking off the pitch, but which obviously maybe is a straw too far, but has been done before. But anything else, Man United, or hopefully not Ronaldo related, but anything else tickle your fancy before we start to wrap up?
You know what I just realized? You mentioned Rooney trying to force his move to Chelsea. In July next year, it'll mark 10 years since David Moyes was United manager. How time flies, Tom.
Sorry, I was just reading a comment. Repeat that, Larry. I'll listen now.
In July next year, it'll mark 10 years since David Moyes was manager at Manchester United.
What a decade it has been. What a decade it has been. And I think a decade, unfortunately, Manchester United fans deserved in regards to we're so spoilt in our childhood growing up. We did need this. And hopefully when we do get success under Erik ten Hag in a couple of years' time, it's that sort of bit sweeter because we are sort of feeling what it feels like to be a real football fan at the moment. And while it's not enjoyable at times, it is needed, I think, because it is sort of weeding out one or two sort of sections of the fan base. And sort of when we do win, because we will get back at some stage. Now, hopefully that's sooner than later. But I think we as a club and fan base will be better off for this period we are going through. But Chris just reminded me here, and the last point, and I don't want to get this into sort of excusing Ronaldo of anything, but a huge thing, and he's obviously had the potential meetings with Jordan Peterson as well. I've had this discussion with you, Larry, and you didn't really. I had a bit of not an argument with you, but you sort of not downplayed it, but I felt you downplayed it. But I know you didn't mean it in a derogatory way or a bad way. Ronaldo lost a kid. No, just in terms of this mental stuff, I can't tell a man how to react. Like, I know it seems like it's a while away. It's not a while away. It was still very recently. And I can't be in a position to tell a man how to. And again, it doesn't excuse the behaviour. But in regards to his mindset, in regards to performances and pre-season, it's everything. It's a tricky situation in regards to what he's going through. He's had sort of like all in his favour for so long. And now sort of everything's sort of going against him, unfortunately, for whatever reason. And it's piling on the pressure, unfortunately.
I empathise, obviously, with Ronaldo's situation. It's tragic that, he obviously lost a child, but I don't think that's why he's performing badly, Tom. And his behaviour at the moment, none of that has to do with his child. Sorry, and you have to remember when that happened.
No, but just the mental state of him, in terms of I can't be in a position.
He kept up his level of performance after that. In fact, he went to the Emirates and was United's only good player against Arsenal and got.
Yeah, but I don't think we can be in a position where we can say, okay, you're better now or you're not better now. I think it's that situation where
I'm not saying that. Maybe those guys are still there. I just don't think that's why he's performing the way he's performing.
Oh yeah, it's not an excuse. It's just in my opinion, just something to lay off him. Like he's gone through it. He's gone through hell at the moment. What potentially is hell in my opinion.
Well, no one was talking shit about him until he decided to pack up and leave the stadium the other day.
Have you got it? Have you got the internet at home? He's the most abused footballer in the world, statistically proven.
Because but he's also the most praised footballer in the world. Have you seen the people on my Twitter account abusing me for fucking having a go at him about his stupid Instagram post the other day?
Yeah, look, I understand that. I just think in regards to the point,
he's also the richest footballer in the world. Like, can't have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah, I think we do look a lot of whether it be documentaries or you do see a bit of an insight into people with money in their lives. It's, okay, looks glitz and a bit of glitz and glamour from our end, but deep down when you look in their lives, it is tough for them. And again, that's not to say you shouldn't be walking off. As I said, I'm on Team Ten Hag in
Bro, is
regards to that.
feel
No, but
so
in regards,
sorry for all these players.
I'm not telling a player.
It's
I'm
ridiculous.
not Larry. I'm not telling a father who just lost his son to get on with it and to be
I'm
okay.
not downplaying that, Tom. And if that's the issue, then he can take a break from football. He can see a psychologist. It is, and I support him in that. That is not why he's not playing well. That is not the reason why
What?
he packed
Not
his
playing.
bag, refused to
I'm
come on
just
the other day.
forget tactics, forget offside traps, forget counter pressing and all that. I'm just saying, as a person, he's going through a tough time, and I just think it's never pointed out that he's a person at the moment. You were treating him like an animal.
Because he acted like an idiot.
Oh, he didn't act like an animal.
I'm not saying he's a scumbag and deserves to never breathe air again. I'm saying he should leave the club.
Yeah, no one's disagreeing with that, but I think the reaction to him has been
People on
over
the
the top.
internet will always take it too far. You know that.
Yeah, no, but no, fair enough. Anything else with Manchester United before we do wrap up? Hopefully, we can stay clear of any Ronaldo discussion over the next couple of pods.
Well, we've got a very. I think United have come through the current fixtures fairly positively, Tom. I think looking ahead before we pack our bags for the World Cup, United, we got Sheriff coming up on Friday, so I got a little break between games now. Then we go into West Ham, Real Sociedad, and that ultimately be. You would think that would be the match that decides who finishes top of the group. Then we've got Villa back to back. Oh, we won't get to see Steven Gerrard at Old Trafford. That's a
No,
shame.
I was really happy with that news. Obviously, Liverpool losing, but obviously Gerrard losing his job. Here we are in a position to talk about personnel, and obviously don't want to see someone lose their job that Gerrard has, and we will poke a little bit of fun where we can in regards to that. But he threw himself under the bus. We're talking about Ronaldo threw himself under the bus. Gerrard only has himself to blame in regards to
Villa
his actions as manager.
really poorly with a good squad. But if you look at our Premier League fixtures, Tom, we've got West Ham, Aston Villa, and Fulham before we pack our bags, before we verse Nottingham Forest in Boxing Day. So,
Aston Villa, is there a rule for Manchester United, whoever we get in a third round of the League Cup or FA Cup, that we play them in the league within a couple of days? Whoever we get in the first, every game, it's League Cup, then you could play them in the Premier League, or you got them in the Premier League, then you got them in the FA Cup. So we've got a double header against Aston Villa, unfortunately. I'm not sure who's potentially going to be in charge of them, but it will be interesting. Fingers crossed for that League Cup. I think a lot of people are looking at Jadon Sancho's performances at the moment, and I think lazily, but probably just saying, play Garnacho. I think he might get his chance. Now, I think Palestri and maybe obviously Anthony Elanga are ahead of Garnacho, and rightly so, but hopefully Erik ten Hag can maybe use that time to potentially experiment with one or two of the younger players.
Yeah, hopefully. And yeah, just on Chris's comment, the Martinez with the fan, awesome. Me and Tom were chatting about this earlier. That for that fan, that's a lifetime memory. He'll never forget that. It's as good as it gets, up close and personal. Hopefully, a Bungalow manages Villa for that game. He might be the most hated pundit I can think. I can't stand the Bungalow.
I don't think the most hated. I don't think the most hated. I don't think this is the most hated. Maybe just the dumbest, or the worst. Maybe.
Yeah. He was a shit footballer too. And I mean, he made it to the Premier League. So, I mean, he'd done much better than I ever will. But he was a bang average player. Let's not rewrite history either. Bang average player.
I think it's one of those ones. I forget who made the meme, but he always looks, whenever he's talking, he's on the verge of a big sneeze. But if you do sort of not like Gabby Agbonlahor, please do leave a like on the video. That'd be very much appreciated. If you did enjoy Man United's performance and sort of the last gasp equaliser from Casemiro, please do leave a like on the video. That'd be great. If you are new, if you could hit that subscribe button. We'll definitely be back in a day or two in regards to obviously previewing the Sheriff match. I'm sure there'll be updates around Ronaldo, for God's sake. I'm sure we'll be back having another, I wouldn't say tedious discussion, but the same discussion over and over again. But until then, hopefully everyone had a good weekend and is enjoying the rest of their Sunday night. If you are in Australia or if you are in the UK, have a good rest of your Sunday. There's Premier League football on today, I assume, Larry?
I have no idea.
I think Arsenal got to be playing. They didn't play last night, so I assume
Arsenal are playing tonight, Southampton.
Erling Haaland. I checked Manchester City. I was out last night. 2 goals for Erling Haaland. Shock. But fingers crossed, Man United do.
How many goals does Haaland have now? I'm going to quickly check this.
He must be closing on 20 throughout the
He's
season.
on 17 goals.
7. And
In
what's that in the
second,
league?
who do you think second?
Harry Kane?
Yeah, on 9 goals.
Yeah.
Haaland's
Well,
got
that's the
17 just in the
thing.
Premier League.
Going into this Tottenham game last week, if you actually looked at Harry Kane, obviously Martinez, Polka did him, Varane and Martinez did sort of wonders against him. But if you actually look at his season, take Erling Haaland out of the discussion and how many games the Premier League season has been going this season, and Harry Kane's been brilliant this season in regards to his output. He's killing it. But not one word of it because of obviously what Erling Haaland is doing. But yeah.
How
He
many
scored
games
50.
have been played so far this season? 11?
10 or some are on 10,
Harry
some
Kane's
are on
got
11.
9. I would call that a world-class return. Haaland's
Oh
got
no,
6.
Harry Kane's killing it in regards to numbers, but yeah, not one bit of discussion. And you can understand obviously why Erling Haaland is dominating the headlines. But
That's scary. Tom, he's got 1.65 goals per 90. That's insane.
no, he's killing it. Emad here with what's last year's Golden Boot tally, mid 22 or something. And look, I know nothing about stats from Salah, 22 or 24 goals potentially. I forget, but he's going to smash that in a couple of weeks, unfortunately. But fingers crossed it can sort of keep the title in Manchester and not Liverpool, because Liverpool aren't winning the title anytime soon. But you know what I mean. I think we're also a little bit sort of hesitant when Liverpool get on a bit of a roll. But yeah, Adam and Emad saying 23 or 24 goals. But as said, please, if you did enjoy it, please do leave a like on the video. Subscribe if you're new, and Larry and I will be back in a day or two discussing the latest around Manchester United. Until then, keep safe. Have a good one. Cheers.
Cheers.